Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I had to take my mask off first. It's not because I'm trying to protect myself from the Rona in my own house. I'm protecting myself from the bad smell and the bad stench that just left my living room from watching the Carolina Panthers drop another game to the Denver Broncos, a game that they lost 32-27, a game that was marred by just boneheaded penalties, bad coaching once again, questionable play calling, Rasul Douglas having probably one of the worst games I've seen since Bené Benwickery in the secondary. Just a whole lot to discuss as far as just the overall just out of incompetence, lack of a better term for this game. Guys, who wants to go first? Just fire away. Just initial thoughts from another loss from the Carolina Panthers. Rodney, go ahead, sir.
Death.
Wow, that's strong. Oh, sorry.
Death. Taxes. Delay of game.
Three things you can count on?
Three things you can count on. I mean,
I'll also add no timeouts.
Man, it's oh man, the offense has been piss poor for the past month to me, man, and our third quarter adjustments have been horrible. We can't come out in the second half flat. I mean, it's just frustrating to see every single week. It's like we say the same things every week, and I just don't see it getting better, man.
Kaza, what you got, buddy?
Everyone's going to look at this game, and they're going to say, we could have won the game, but the defense gave up some big plays late in the game. But the defense had us in the position to be in the lead or win the game multiple times. The defense had all the big splash plays. Their defense can only hold up so long before they just get tired and it all collapses. And that's what happened today when the offense has a bunch of boneheaded penalties. And to be fair, they did get kind of screwed over by the refs on a late, very timeout call. But ultimately, it's not working with the offense. It's just not. And that was the unit that everyone said, oh, the offense will be fine. Honestly, I feel like the defense is the future of this team, and the offense ain't getting it done. How many times we're going to throw 2-3 yards when we need 8? It's frustrating.
Yeah. Last play of the game, there's a 4th and 8. Teddy Bridgewater chooses the underneath route when he had literally 4 of the receivers running other routes beyond 8 yards. I don't know what to make of that particular play, but it was just kind of a microcosm of what we saw just throughout the entire game. In the first quarter, man, I tweeted out like Dinkin and Duncan is not going to get it done against this defense and against this team, man. And I felt like in the first half, that obviously showed its head. We don't even score a touchdown if it wasn't for Denver shooting themselves in the foot with a turnover.
Yeah.
So our touchdown came from them, basically gifting us field position to get the touchdown. I say that to say in the second half, I want to give Brady some credit and Bridgewater some credit in the second half. It looks like they made some slight adjustments and the ball was being thrown down the field a little more, and we were putting together drives. Where was that in the first half, gentlemen? And why did we wait so late to make that adjustment? I guess is what I'm saying.
We were down. I was in the car. I was listening, and they were mentioning that Teddy was speaking to the offensive line and everybody on offense. He was passionate. I mean, where's the sense of urgency at the beginning of the game? Like, you have to play passionate about something. I mean, I just don't see the fire at the beginning of games.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's going on. I mean, is the coaching staff inexperienced? I don't know. Do we have the necessary leaders in the locker room? I don't know. Especially on the offensive end.
No, yeah. It's in the NFL, one of the toughest things to do is win after a bye week. And because, and especially with the way the season is structured now with the global pandemic, I would imagine that it was very tough for these guys. Remember, the Panthers had that problem under Ron Rivera, in that after a bye week, you just couldn't get motivated. That's just a tough thing to do in the NFL with a young team, with the new coaching staff, I'm not surprised that they started the game off flat. They did make some adjustments in the second half, but what ended up killing us was just mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, just little tiny, not so much execution, but stuff like, why don't we have any timeouts left at the end of the game again for another week? Why are we getting
no impotence?
Why do we have the ball with 5 yards left to score a touchdown, and we have to decide whether we want to kick the field goal or not? Those are the things that kill the Panthers week after week after week. And the coaching, now I got to put that on the coaching staff. It's their job to shore up those things.
Yeah. All right, Kazi, you mentioned something. You kind of stole my thunder because my next question, my next kind of comment / question was, we all remember how the beginning stages of the Ron Rivera era was. It was kind of marred by the same things, the inconsistencies, some of the coaching mistakes. Ron Rivera took a lot of accountability. His first 2 seasons with the Panthers. There was even this seminal moment where he said he had to kind of have a conversation with himself on the plane and kind of look deep inside and kind of figure out his direction so he could write the shit for the Panthers. Are we seeing the same things with Matt Rule? Is it like a mirror image? Is there any difference? And does Rule deserve some benefit of the doubt because this is such a young coaching staff?
In all honesty, man, like, it wasn't a typical offseason. You didn't have the preseason games. You didn't have the coaches actually getting to know their players and seeing what their tendencies were in the offseason. He gets a slight pass, but I mean, right now it's week 13, 14?
Yeah.
You got. I got to see some progress, and I'm not seeing any progress. It's the same thing since week 1.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the offseason because Ron Rivera went through the same thing. Remember, that was a lockout year.
Yep.
Panthers we had a shortened preseason. We didn't have a full training camp. I think the difference here, though, is that we knew the Panthers had the potential to be something special, mainly because we had Cam Newton. And then we had Luke Kuechly the next year. And you could say what you want about the Rivera, Kuechly, Newton decade, but that was a pretty good time to be a Panthers fan, honestly.
Yeah.
So the question is now, do we feel that same way this first season under the new? Because I remember the Panthers went 6-10, Ron Rivera's first year under Cam Newton, and I didn't feel dejected like I feel, when the Panthers lost. I mean, we had some good losses. Cam Newton would put up these great stats, would do these amazing things, and Ron Rivera went through those learning mistakes. The difference is that Matt Rule is going through those learning mistakes, but there's nothing else. There's nothing like Cam Newton to get excited about. Yeah, we have some young hitters on defense, but it's kind of tough because it's like we know, okay, clearly Teddy Bridgewater is probably not that guy of the future. So now what?
Let me ask you guys a question. Funny question. Is Teddy Bridgewater a stopgap or the bridge?
Teddy, oddly enough, I think he's both. You know what I mean? I think I always like to say, man, we don't have crystal balls because we don't know what management is going to do. So I want to make that very clear. But at the same time, I could easily see a situation at some point in time. I don't know if that's next season. I don't know if it's 2 seasons from now. I don't know when. But at some point in time, I could easily see the Panthers investing in some type of young quarterback and saying, hey, Teddy, you know what? You're going to be the mentor towards our future here. Again, I'm not into making predictions. I don't have the crystal ball. I could just see that happening at some point.
I'm going to let you go, Kazim.
No, I was going to say I could see the Panthers wanting that out of Teddy, but I don't think they would get it. That's just not something you get in the NFL. We've heard I remember Brett Favre talking about Aaron Rodgers, and how he was like, how was I going to mentor the guy that was going to take my job? No, no, it's going to happen. And I think that's you probably get that a lot around the NFL. Why would you want to groom someone to take food off your table? And considering the struggles Bridgewater has had in his career, just getting to the point where he's a starting NFL quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see him taking a back seat. If anything, bringing in young competition would maybe help get him to the next level. But something's got to give with the offense, and it just might be Teddy Bridgewater. To answer the question, Rodney's question, he's a stopgap. I don't think you look and say, "Yep, Teddy's the guy that's gonna get us there." No, I don't see it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it definitely doesn't look like he's the long-term solution so far this season. I think we've had enough of a sample size to kind of come to that conclusion, man. My next question I wanted to ask you guys, with DJ Moore being out, how much did that affect the Panthers offense today? And did it affect the Panthers offense today?
We still put up 26 points. He would have made a slight difference, but not as big of a difference. I mean, Teddy would have still been nicking and dunking out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the offensive line would have still kind of have a subpar day today. I mean, unless DJ Moore can play left tackle, I don't know how much of a difference it would have really made.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it would have made a big difference at all. I mean, I love DJ Moore, and I think he's a solid number one wide receiver in the NFL. A difference maker? I don't know about that.
You know, one of our chat members today brings up something that I wanted to talk about today, and Neek22 brings up tight end usage today. Here's something interesting today, y'all. As much as we don't throw the tight ends all season, Ian Thomas probably has his best game, and his best game equals 3 catches for 20 yards. But on top of the 3 catches for 20 yards, we can probably count 3 drops as well. Why don't we see? I guess my question is there anybody behind Ian Thomas that Matt Rule can put his faith in? Or is it just time to move on? Is it time to just?
Here's what I don't get. When a few years ago, Ian Thomas did look like he would be the guy to replace
the next guy up.
The next guy, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying that he was going to be as good as Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen is a future Hall of Famer, but Ian Thomas looked like he could at least fill some of that role partially. What's changed? Except the quarterback and the
coach.
Yeah, I mean, so clearly there was more of a our offense was tailored around the tight end being there. Greg Olsen was the main weapon for the Panthers for a decade, essentially. Now with the new staff and the new QB, that's just not how we do our offense. So I don't think it's Ian Thomas. I'll be honest. I don't think it's Ian Thomas. I think if the offense was tailored more around, hey, let's get our balls out to tight ends. I just think about like that final play. Imagine a tight end sitting in his zone. I could see Greg Olsen just sitting in the zone 9 yards out.
Right.
Instead of, hey, let's put everyone on a crossing route with the tight end sitting on the bench.
Right.
So I got I got pushback for that, man. Joe Brady, you look at LSU. I saw this firsthand as a Clemson fan. Thad Moss was an integral part of that offense with Justin Jefferson and all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Ian Thomas was he's a 3rd or 4th round pick.
3rd round pick, I believe.
A great potential swing for the fences type guy. He just started playing football 5-6 years ago. Honestly, I think it's on him. He has to develop. One problem with him was blocking. He probably is not a good route runner. This team is in retool mode, and you have to show that you're an integral part of the future. Maybe he just hasn't shown it in practice. We honestly don't know.
I mean, simple question. If you can't block and you can't run routes, then what are you good for? It sounds like it's time to go.
Yeah, but the thing is, like I said, a few years ago, it looked like he was going to be that guy. And the difference is that also Cam Newton is used to throwing to tight ends. If you remember his first season in the league, he was throwing to Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah.
And then he's throwing to Greg Olsen.
Right.
He's always the Panthers have always had, at least in the last decade, that tight end safety valve. So, Cam was used. Hey, if Greg Olsen went in and Ian Thomas was in there and Ian Thomas was open or he thought that he could make the play, he was going to deliver them the ball. I don't think we have that with Teddy. And that's not necessarily Teddy's fault. He's just doing what the game plan dictates or his style dictates. But I think that's a lot of that's a lot of it. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have any rapport with Ian Thomas like Cam Newton did. He doesn't have that trust in him, and neither do the coaches and Joe Brady, obviously. It might just be one of those things where Ian Thomas is no longer a good fit for the Carolina Panthers.
Right. All right. So moving on from that, man. And Kaza, I specifically want to get your thoughts about this first. What did you think about Phil Snow's plan and his play calling today?
Now, I think that Phil Snow maybe realizes that of all the seats, his is probably the warmest. He would be a scapegoat for this season, even though I'm not sure he should.
I don't think he should be. No.
The worst thing that he's done is I feel like some of the there was some conservative play calling the first half of the season, but it's almost like he's dismissed that. He's like done away with that. We see a lot more blitzes. The biggest play of the game was Jeremy Chinn coming off of the outside, getting that fumble. We saw
more of that, please.
Yes, and we saw that multiple times during the game. We saw a very aggressive defense from Phil Snow today, actually. And to be fair, they carried most of the game until they just couldn't anymore, until, Drew Lock was like, okay, we're just going to throw 40 yards downfield. And, the defense can only do so much at that point. We have the youngest defense in the league. And I think a lot of people forget that.
Kids make mistakes.
They're going to make mistakes. You're not always going to be able to execute. But I felt like the players were in a good position to make good plays today, and we saw that. I think I personally, like I said, I'm excited for the future of the defense. It's the offense that I'm kind of iffy about. There's a lot of chemistry problems there. We still don't know how CMC is going to fit into all this because he's been injured the entire season. Who's our number one receiver? Who? I don't know.
We don't know.
Pick somebody.
It could change from week to week, but that might be a good problem. So who knows?
I think the problem the defense has is that I'm not sure if we have that leader yet, but I like what I saw. I think the worst play they made today was Jermaine Carter's taunting.
Let me stop you right there, man. I'm kind of torn on this, okay? Because look, I'm gonna sound like the old grumpy man I am. And back in my day in the 90s when we were watching football, I don't remember taunting calls. I don't remember getting the flag thrown for being in somebody's face talking shit. Okay, so when I saw that taunting call, I'm like, they still call that. And I get it. These players are supposed to know the line to not cross. I get that they're supposed to have a little more awareness, in that situation, especially on the third down, okay? I get it. But footballing is an emotional game, man. Jermaine Carter made a big hit. The adrenaline is flowing. It's one of those things, it's like the rules are the rules, but I don't like the rules. I'm just being honest, man. I'm sorry, bro.
The thing is technically it was a good call, but it was a bad call.
Thank you.
I feel like in that situation, you don't make that call unless you feel like the game is going to get out of hand. Now, if the players are being chippy, then okay, now you start throwing flags for taunting. But that was a huge, huge play for the Panthers at that time. It was a big physical hit. Everyone was excited. He was standing over the guy anyway. What the ref wanted to do, right? Like run off the field.
Hello.
So I felt like the defense did their job today more than the offense did there.
Right, Rodney. Before you go, Rodney, I didn't get your thoughts on Phil Snow in the defense today. Did you have anything different?
I mean, you can call the right plays, but the players got to be in the right position.
Here's my thing. I want to share. This is why I asked y'all this question, man. I thought Pat Shurmur, the offensive coordinator for the Broncos, I thought he played chess and Phil Snow played checkers today. I really do. Here's why. I saw an adjustment that was made probably, I'd say maybe second quarter. And it was probably the first time Rasul Douglas got burnt. I think Pat Shermer said, you know what? All right, they're sending a lot of. We're going to get to him in a second. We're going to get to him in a second. Trust me. And I think Pat Shermer saw that and was like, you know what? They're sending a lot of heat. They're blitzing like every probably third play. Let me set my quarterback up for success. Let me bring in the fullback to block. Let me tell my receivers to run these go routes because number 24 out there is having a real bad day. And I think Snow sending so much heat bit us in the ass ultimately. Mostly because number 24 couldn't cover his guy. And I think Shermer picked up on that. So that's where I was going with that question, man.
They say about the blitz. You live by the blitz, you die by the blitz.
Yep.
So, I mean, the Panthers have to, unfortunately, they have to be that aggressive on defense because there's no other way they can get to the quarterback. The front four just ain't there yet. And I'll say this, college coaches don't have to make the same kind of adjustments in the game that an NFL coach does. In fact, a lot of times in college, they don't have to make an adjustment at all because the league gets so big in college that a lot of times it's just maintaining what's already happening in the game. It's not, the ebb and flow is completely different than what we saw today where, okay, hey, yeah, Denver just scored a huge 40-yard touchdown. Oh, the Panthers just scored 30 seconds later.
Right.
You don't get that in college except for the high-level, maybe playoff games. So I think that's something else that Phil Snow has to adjust to. Shermer, who is, he's got a Super Bowl ring. So exactly.
Real quick, man. Jay Hanna in our chat room is asking about Dante Jackson. I feel like Dante Jackson had a pretty good game today, man. I don't think they called his names for the wrong reasons today, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So
if I didn't hear a lot of them, that's a good thing.
Right. Other than the fact that, of course, he had to have his weekly injury where he gets off the field for 2 plays. But outside of that,
I mean, he's 135 pounds. I mean, come on.
Right, man. And just back to this defense, man. I don't think Drew Lock is a bad quarterback. However, I don't think Drew Lock is 21 for 27, 280, 4 touchdowns good every week.
Power on.
I mean,
death, taxes, career game versus the Panthers.
To put that in perspective, he threw 13 less passes than Teddy Bridgewater did.
Ooh, and had more yards, right?
Three less yards. 3 less yards.
Throwing a hoop. Bridgewater got Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson to throw to.
However, Kaiser, Teddy Bridgewater did not have Rasul Douglas on the opposing side this week. Drew Lock did. Rasul Douglas, do y'all remember that game Bené Ben-Wickery had against the Atlanta Falcons a few years ago?
300,000 yards, I think.
I hope Pralad is not watching us right now, the Falcons fan, because I'm sure he's just going to pop up and remind us of that game. But anyway, Rasul Douglas had a Bené Ben-Wickery type of game today, man. It was bad. Now, I always want to be objective. Okay. We are a fan podcast. We're not journalists, but we always want to be fair. Now, it is worth noting that Rasul Douglas was battling COVID stuff and he could not practice this week. So I'll be fair and just say maybe that stuff affected him today because it damn sure looked like he had some timing issues and his timing was a bit off today. So I do want to be fair about that. So there you have it. Guys, offensive MVP today. Who you got?
Robbie Anderson.
Kaiser?
Mike Davis.
This is the most unenthusiastic.
I mean, pick somebody. Mike Davis.
And he had an important stiff arm.
Mike Davis would have had a better day if the Panthers were able to control the ball better. But they were playing from behind a lot, but still, he averaged like 4.5 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. If Mike Davis if he had been a full-time starter, he might have 1,000-yard season. He's quietly having a pretty good season in the absence of McCaffrey. He's not able to do a lot of, they can't split him out wide like they can CMC, but he does a pretty good job running the ball, and I thought he did a good job.
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually going to ask another question. Jay is asking in the chat. Is it time for, I won't say, I'll ask it a different way. Is it time for Marty Hurney to be evaluated? Let's put it like that.
I mean, you always want to evaluate everybody that has anything to do with the organization constantly. You must say, if I make a move on this person, does it make the team and the franchise better? So the question is, would replacing Marty Hurney make the Panthers better? And that depends on how much you think the players that he has selected are to blame for the Panthers' woes. I think this season, it would be hard to do that.
Yeah.
Because they went all in on defense on the draft. And so far, I think that's the better as far as potential of the the three phases of the game. I mean, he drafted Jeremy Chin. I mean, who is probably, if he don't get Defensive Rookie of the Year,
he burned everything down.
He's going to be real close. That guy is going to be a perennial All-Pro player. So Marty Hurney drafts another All-Pro player to add to the long, long list of All-Pro players and future Hall of Famers he's already drafted. How much credit do you give him for that versus the bad picks that he's made?
Yeah.
The GMs are always a tough balancing act, and Marty Hurney's always been very difficult to evaluate because when he gets a good one, man, they're good.
He gets a great one. Right.
Yeah, he gets like an all-time great.
He doesn't get a good, he gets a great one. Right.
Man, look, he got Brian Burns last year. And Brian Burns was good.
So it's like, okay, so he's getting the right pieces. Marty Hurney's always going to be an enigma in the NFL. He just is because he has the ability to get these great guys, but then on the other end, he does.
Rodney, what you think?
Sign Teddy Bridgewater to 3 years.
Rodney, what you think?
What if I told you that he probably has already been evaluated? Hear me out. When David Tepper was talking about meeting with Matt Rule and making the head coaching decision hire, who was with Dave Tepper?
Marty Hurney. Right.
Marty Hurney played a vital piece of bringing Rule here. Marty Hurney has a seat at that table. Look, even if he's not the GM, he will still be involved in some way with this organization.
I agree.
He has become Tepper's boy. He's going to be a mainstay here.
Yeah.
Sorry,
listen. I am. This may come as a surprise. Maybe it doesn't. I am actually going to defend Marty Hurney, and I mean full on defend Marty Hurney. Here's why. I want everybody to realize and to kind of remember that the Panthers this season have lost more one-score games than any other NFL team this season. Okay. So I bring that up because if you look at the record itself, you look at we're 4-9 at this point, and you look at the record, I think it is a little lazy to look at the record and just say, you know what, the GM's the problem. I think it's a little more complicated than that. For all the reasons we talked about Matt Rule and his performance this season, and Matt Rule trying to quote unquote figure it out with the new coaching staff, new pieces, a stopgap quarterback. Now, also keep this in mind as far as Marty Hurney is concerned. We don't have the intel to know whether it was a Tepper call or a Hurney call to ultimately say, you know what, Cam, we're going to move on. Let's give Hurney the benefit of the doubt and say Tepper ultimately made that call, because I kind of believe that. Marty Hurney did the best he could as far as signing a Teddy Bridgewater. So with that being said, I just think it's a bit lazy to kind of put all the blame on Hurney if you're just looking at the record itself. You have to kind of look at context. So I'll defend Marty Hurney this week. I may have a totally different answer next week. All right, guys. Were there any other defensive MVPs other than Jeremy Chin this week?
Oh, we know the answer to that.
We know the answer to that. Yeah. All right, we'll move on. So next week, guys, we are traveling to Lambeau Field to play Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Give me your predictions. I'm pretty sure they're pretty grim, but give me your predictions.
41-17 Packers.
Kaiser, what you got?
32-17 Packers. I think the defense actually makes Aaron Rodgers kind of uncomfortable, but same stories this week. Big play from Green Bay is going to be the difference, and our offense can't keep them off the field.
Gotcha. I will say that the Panthers give us a surprise effort, kind of like the one in Kansas City, but ultimately come up short. Just like Kaiser said, it's probably going to be the same thing as every week, man. We'll probably look really – I think we'll actually probably come out hot in the first half. I think the Packers will adjust in the second half and ultimately win the game. I'll say Packers probably win 35-24. I'll say that much.
Look, the actual important question is, do we win one more game this season? I mean, we got Green Bay, then the football team in Washington, and then New Orleans to close it out. Do we just?
We might beat the Saints because they're going to sit players, but probably not.
I don't see it.
You know, Ron Rivera is going to
look. Ron is coming out to knock Teddy Bridgewater in the next week.
Yeah, and they could win that division. They could win the NFC East if they beat
NFC least.
I think, I don't think it doesn't look good for the Panthers and the teams that are in the draft. Two of them need quarterbacks, so we're out of the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. It's not looking good. I will say this real quick before we move on. Jamal brought up an interesting stat about the Carolina Panthers leading the league in one-score losses. There was one other time they led the league in that stat. The very next season, we went to the Super Bowl, and we went 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl. Typically, that particular stat is a bit of an outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Usually teams that lose a lot of games by one score show massive improvement the next season because they end up regressing up to the mean and winning.
Evens out.
So
absolutely.
That could be a good omen for us.
Yeah. All right, guys. I have a question to ask as a transition. Is LaMelo Ball the best quarterback in Charlotte right now? Don't answer that. I'm just playing.
Look, man. Look. He lives in the best quarterback in Charlotte ever's old house.
Yeah. I mean, he's. Look. All we need LaMelo to do now is just wear some silk shirts and some crazy hats, man. And look, we in the game, man. But
you know what's funny? Everyone would love him for it. Everyone would be like, "Yo, look at this guy. He's a trendsetter. He's a style fashionista." Cam couldn't win because before Cam already came in the league, he had this negative
energy, not energy, but negative
this
connotation about him.
Yeah, the media had already determined that they weren't going to like Cam Newton. Whereas LaMelo is a little different. I think the media is on his side. I think they feel like he's the most likable of all the Ball kids. Although, I mean, Lonzo Ball was perfectly likable, but there was a lot tied to Lonzo.
Except for when he said that BS about Nas. Other than that, man, he was a pretty likable kid. Except for that crap. But guys, just a reminder, everybody in the chat room, you can leave us a voicemail at 704-981-1747. But in case you have not figured it out, we are going to transition to our beloved Charlotte Hornets and the preseason action that came about from yesterday. Guys, it has been 276 days since we have seen our Charlotte Hornets on the court. I have never been so excited to see a preseason game with no fans in my life. It was so refreshing. I didn't care if we lost by 40 last night. It was just good to see the guys on the court. Guys, I know it's silly to try to sit here and break down a preseason games, but we're going to attempt to do it anyway. Just give me your initial thoughts on the game overall.
My overreaction is we're going to the playoffs.
And look, you got to overreact. That is the rule. You have to overreact. Yes.
We look good when we look good with playoff team, but the tempered, correct reaction would be that the Hornets, regardless of how the season goes, are going to be a tough out for anyone when they're hitting on all cylinders. There's no way that you could not have watched the first 20 minutes of basketball last night and not felt excitement for the Charlotte Hornets.
Absolutely.
They looked good. Now, of course, the wheels kind of fell off, but that was because, Borrego's like, okay, now it's time to mess up the rotations and see sticks. Also, the Hornets, the youngest team in the league, were playing a team that made it to the ECF last season. They made an adjustment. The Hornets started turning the ball over, and Toronto just started hitting a bunch of threes, and then that was the story of the game. But when both team starters were in, man, I liked what I saw from our starting lineup of Terry Graham, PJ Zeller, and Gordon Hayward. I felt like they had this weird chemistry considering they hadn't played like any basketball.
Absolutely.
I just felt like that's something to build on.
Yeah, no doubt. Rodney, what you got?
Man, look, man, don't crucify me for saying this, man. LaMelo gave me like 6'8" Jason Kidd vibes, man. Like those passes, the rebounding.
He's gifted, man.
I'm still skeptical of his scoring ability, but that will come. I'm not really too much worried about that. But man, he could control the game without scoring. And that's pretty damn special to me, man.
And look, Rodney, not to cut you off, man, but you usually are not describing players like that at such a young age.
19.
He's 19, and you can already see that ability.
You know what I was doing? Let me quit.
No, we don't want to know. Go ahead.
You don't want to know. But other than that, man, it was refreshing to see Gordon Hayward kind of be aggressive a little bit over his time on the court. He fit in with everybody, and what I did love was we were spacing out the floor. Like we had the spacing there, and it was kind of interesting to see PJ at the 5. PJ didn't look great last night to me, but
I'm glad you brought that up.
Huh?
I'm glad you brought that up. Kaza, let's talk about your boy, PJ Washington. What did you think about PJ last night, man?
Okay, so I think some of it was like nervous energy. The Panthers the Hornets did not have the luxury of playing in the bubble. Toronto just played meaningful basketball, a month and a half ago?
Yeah, right.
A month ago, yeah.
Meanwhile, we hadn't played any mini basketball in
March.
76 days. Yeah. So there was that. I think also PJ, that rotation was new for him. Normally, he's used to being paired with Miles Bridges, and their roles kind of swapped. He didn't have that luxury now. Now, dude, you're the power forward. Gordon Hayward is playing the small forward now, and so I think that difference might have had a little bit to do with why he didn't come out and have like a bang up game in the preseason.
Look, I know what his problem was. I just got 2 words.
Stop it, man.
Yeah, actually.
They say relationships put a little weight on you.
Man, look, I don't know if he's been in the gym or the kitchen, man. I don't know.
Look, but my serious question to y'all is: does it look like he picked up a little weight to y'all? Because it looked like he did a little bit to me.
It's a little baby weight. He got a baby on the way.
I think, I think a lot of guys picked up some COVID-19 weight. For the most part, they're not in the gym like they would be during a normal season because there's nowhere for them to really go. They could go to the practice facilities, and even then, there were some rules to when they could go and how often they could go. PJ's always been kind of a hefty guy.
Yeah.
Even in college, so it wouldn't surprise me if he picked up a little bit of.
All right, look, he better run that weight off because Miles Bridges is like he's coming back for that starting spot.
Hey, man,
Listen, dude. Listen, Miles Bridges looked like a man on a mission last night, man. I saw Miles Bridges do something last night that I didn't see him do all season, man. There was one possession where the shot clock was running down. Miles Bridges went behind his back and shot a pull up mid range jumper, and my mouth hit the floor because I don't remember ever seeing Miles Bridges do that. It just looks like he was the one that got in the gym this summer and actually developed and worked on his game. Well, I mean, what else did y'all think about Miles Bridges?
Man, look, I love the aggression. I mean, this bitch move might revitalize him, man. I don't know. I mean, he's hungry, man.
Yeah.
And then playing with LaMelo might have helped him too.
I was gonna say he looked like he had a real good chemistry with LaMelo. Looked like LaMelo liked giving the ball to Bridges. That behind the back fast pass on the fast break, Bridges scored on the and one. I mean, I'll pay good money to see that every night. I liked what I saw from Miles Bridges, and rest in peace to that Boucher guy.
Right.
He out of the league after that.
I'm looking forward to when Malik Monk comes back. Malik, LaMelo, and Miles.
Oh my God, that's an exciting bench, man.
Oh gosh, man,
that second unit, Malik Monk would have done real well in that second unit to provide them some scoring that they need.
Scoring punch, yeah.
Man, it's hard to be excited as a Hornets fan because very rarely do we get to be excited. And then when we are excited because the Hornets do something, it never pans out. Like when they got Dwight Howard, I was excited that season. I was like, okay, Clippers finally got the team that he wanted. We got Kemba, we got Dwight Howard in the post. And that
I got another one for you. We finally got our big three. Lance Stevenson.
Kemba.
Yeah.
Look, man. We the Hornets have never had luck on their side because I would never understand how Lance Stevenson totally forgot how to shoot when he came to Charlotte. I mean, he just forgot how to shoot. And I've never seen anything like that.
He only knows how to play when he plays in Indiana.
Right. But anywho, back to current Hornets. This raises an interesting question, man, because we know that fans are pretty much salivating at the mouth for LaMelo to start. And I of course, I understand. But going back to what we saw last night, man, it just looks like LaMelo coming off the bench, whether it's for an extended period of time or not. That chemistry, that bench chemistry looks special. And to kind of bring back Rodney's point about Malik Monk, man, I think it's going to be even better. So with that being said, man, should Borrego kind of leave LaMelo on the bench for a while, or y'all still see him starting?
Terry Rozier, he's coming for your spot, brother. Let me tell you, man, imagine him and Gordon Hayward on the floor together, man. It's going to be nice. That's all I got to say. It's going to be nice.
At some point, you've got to give Melo that shot sooner than later. I know you don't want to really mess up the chemistry, but you got to think at some point, hey, this is going to be better for the team if Melo is starting. And I mean, let's be clear, Terry Rozier would be an awesome option off the bench. The only problem is that Terry Rozier is not likely to buy into that. That's why there was a lot of talk about trading Rozier if we drafted LaMelo. Terry Rozier does not want to go back to being, a backup point guard. Also, he'd probably be our sixth man, and he'd be a very good one, but I don't think that's a role that he wants.
Yeah, but where does this put Devontae Graham?
In a good position. I honestly think Devontae can play off the ball. He's a good enough shooter, and he will still be guarding the point guards. I mean, LaMelo's 6'8", man. I mean, I think Devontae recognizes how special LaMelo has the potential to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Devontae, at the end of the day, is still a second-round pick in going into his third year. I mean, he really doesn't have that much.
LaMelo, this is going to be outlandish, but I'm going to say it. LaMelo is a better version of the player that we wanted Nick Batum to be.
Woo.
He can
already?
Already. when was the last? I know it's preseason, and it's hard not to get excited and overreact. But let's be honest. When was the last time Nick Batum had a game where he impacted the game that much without scoring? Because we have a lot of games where Nick Batum doesn't score. But LaMelo Ball didn't score a single point and still impacted the game. He's out rebounding like center. He's getting rebounds, behind the back passes, finding guys. Yeah, he had a few hiccups. Like he had a backwards pass that was a turnover. Coach has got to be like, hey, no, you don't pass backwards.
Right.
You got to teach him that kind of stuff. But for the most part, when you can have a player that can impact the game without scoring, man, that's
And look, man, my overall impression of LaMelo Ball was this. I mean, he's gifted, and some of the rookie stuff he did, like he fired up this 36-foot 3-pointer, that was kind of ill-advised. He got fouled on his first shot, so I don't really count that against him, man. And he missed another shot, man. People seem there's some people who are making a big deal for out of his lack of shooting. And I want to remind people, Kemba Walker was not a great shooter when he first got to Charlotte. Man, it took him 2 seasons to really get to the point where he was a decent 3-point shooter, man. Just be patient with that stuff, the rookie stuff, the 19-year-old stuff, the turnovers, the ill-advised shots. That is just young basketball player stuff. And I'm not worried about LaMelo Ball when it comes to that, man. I'm not.
Yeah,
now
he's clear. He's clearly going to be at worst a solid NBA player, but I think that we're going to get the best versions of him and possibly.
Yeah.
So guys, I saw this online last night. What is your response to the people that are pissed off that we lost and that
is this a serious question?
And that James Borrego doesn't have his rotation set during the first preseason game?
Please let me take this one. If you are upset at the Hornets losing their first game in any capacity in 276 days, which equals 9 months, in a preseason game where we're not really running plays, we're running sets. James Borrego is experimenting with lineups. You know why? Because that's what you do in preseason. You don't sweat the details. You know why, guys? Because it's preseason. It is preseason for a reason. To bring this point home, Gordon Hayward, which we're going to get to in a minute, Gordon Hayward had a really decent game. James Borrego, after the game, said, you know what? Hayward had that type of game, and we didn't run one play for him. That lets you know how well of a fit Gordon Hayward is going to be going forward. Now, Borrego did express concerns for the turnovers, but he also attributed to guys who are not used to playing together, guys who have not played for 9 months, and him experimenting with different lineups.
Hey, but I'm concerned that we're not relevant and people don't want to see us play because we lost by like 15 in preseason, man.
Let me look, man. If there are fans,
look, we need a real coach in here, like a Pat Riley or something, bro.
I don't think Pat Riley, Jesus, or Moses could have prevented the Hornets from committing 22 turnovers last night, man.
This is when you want the Hornets to commit 22 turnovers.
Thank you.
Game that doesn't matter, and they make the mistakes and they can learn. They have a lot of film they can look at. The coach can say, "Look, this is why we lost the game. This is why turnovers." Hornets fans, we don't know how to be realistic. Yeah, we don't.
I think that's an understatement.
Yeah, because there was a discussion in the Hornets Facebook group about whether or not the Hornets are the last or the laughing stock of the NBA. I don't know about the laughing stock. Of course, yeah, we're not relevant or anything. I'd say the Knicks are probably.
I think the Knicks have that firmly on lock and should.
Yeah. So, so I think it's more for Hornets fans, they feel better piling on to the negativity than they do embracing the
hope
for something positive.
Right.
So
and remember a couple of seasons ago where the summer league team lost to China and everybody was freaking out about a summer league loss, man. I'll just say this to Hornets fans who are upset about losing the preseason game, man. If you run to negativity, if that's your thing, at least wait until mid-season, man. Like, get a sample size first. Not the first game of damn preseason after a team who ain't played in 9 months, guys. Reel it in just a little bit. And sometimes you have to give the other team credit. The Toronto Raptors, who have not made a whole bunch of roster changes, who are basically the same group outside of Kawhi Leonard that you've been seeing, that won the damn championship a season and a half ago, they have a cohesiveness that a lot of teams don't have. They're not experimenting like we are. They don't have a bunch of new pieces. They know how to make adjustments. Nick Nurse is a hell of a coach. I don't know why I'm so passionate about explaining this for a damn preseason game, but here we are. But you just got to reel it in a little bit.
I told you, I'm gonna throw y'all a curveball based on something I saw in the Hornets group today. What if I told you that Cody Zeller was going to outplay Pascal Siakam?
I'm glad you brought that up. So there was another post in the Hornets group. Cody Zeller's trash. He needs to go. Same old about Cody Zeller. And I had a simple question. I was just like, based on what? Because I asked it, and I was like, was it based on last night's game? Like, how do you get that from last night's game? I just didn't.
Look, man. Look, I hate to say it, man. Look, I'm not racist or anything. He's a white guy. He's a white guy who's balding. So he obviously sucks. Okay.
No, Rodney. He's a goofy white guy who's balding, who falls all the time. So he sucks. But to reel it in a bit, man, we are a group who will never understand the Cody hatred. We've always acknowledged that Cody is what he is. He's not the bruising, physical rim protector that we want, but that does not make him invaluable. And I just don't think fans are going to acknowledge that, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to that, but go ahead, Kaza.
Yeah. I just want to say, if you're gonna take a dump on Cody Zeller, wait till he has a bad game, because that will probably happen at some point in the season. But after a preseason game, which he plays reasonably well against somebody like Pascal Siakam, I don't understand why you would pick
that game.
Cody Zeller sucks.
Look, man, I think it's preseason and people are bored and people are look, even the negative Nancy's are just happy to talk about the Hornets. And sometimes the fans talk about the Hornets the only way they know how, which is negativity. And to Tyler's point, again, I responded to that person. What are you basing this off of? Because the timing of that was just really odd. You know what I mean? But I do want to get to something real quick. Y'all know I had to go here. So Ant Jams says that, the Hornets are sadly called the worst team in the league by fans across this country because the team is owned by a black person. Let me specifically say this. Michael Jordan is obviously black, but he is also one of the most famous people to ever grace the earth. And that matters because there's always an easy out when you're Michael Jordan. When you don't know the ins and outs of basketball business and you think that Michael Jordan is the grand wizard who can wave a magic wand and automatically create this championship team, it's low-hanging fruit.
Please don't say grand wizard.
That was a horrible choice of words. Thank you, Rodney. That was a terrible choice of words. Thank you for catching me there. But you get the point. To make a long story short, man, Michael Jordan is low-hanging fruit, man. And, people just think he's not going to have the same challenges as any other owners in the NBA, basically, man. So there you have it.
I think that Michael Jordan has it harder because he's Michael Jordan, not necessarily because he's black. He's the only black owner in major professional sports. But Michael Jordan. The problem with Michael Jordan is that he's always had a lukewarm relationship with his own community, with the black community. We love his shoes, but at the same
we don't know if we love the man.
Exactly. We love his shoes, but then we're like, well, what does he really do for the black community? And although we've on the show,
except raise $120 million for black causes,
all of the great things that Michael Jordan has done for the city and his community, but the media perception is that Michael Jordan doesn't really do any of those things. Plus, people are always going to want to knock down the GOAT. Michael Jordan is my opinion, the greatest basketball player of all time, and a lot of people feel that way. So yeah, he's low hanging fruit. It's okay, you were great on the court, but now that you own a team, you suck. We've heard Skip Bayless constantly call him the worst owner in the league.
No. Let's be clear. Skip Bayless has always called Michael the worst general manager in the league, even though he's never really been a general manager. Let's make that clear.
Michael Jordan was the Michael Jordan of bad owners. It's just a media narrative because it's easy to pick on Michael Jordan because he was so great. And this is something that he's not great at yet.
Rodney, you got anything to add to that?
Stop owning prisons.
Shut up, man. Moving on. I got something to add on to that. Stop believing Facebook memes. Let's end that conversation there, man. All right, guys, we're going to move on. We have a couple of voicemails I wanted to get to today. I hope people left their names because if not, I'm not going to know who they are. I think one of these is Jay from the chat room. We're going to get to him in a minute, but here's our first voicemail.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Anyway.
Okay, I'm messing this up as usual.
Good job, Jamal.
Thanks.
Hey, what's up, fellas, man? This is Chris G. Just call me Chris G, the OG. Anyway, I got three things, man. First off, Panthers, because I just got to watching that bench. Look, Teddy Bridgewater is not your future quarterback, all right? Why I got to sit here and watch 3 quarters of Teddy Bridgewater, 3 yards in the cloud of dust passes before they decide they want to play in the fourth quarter? All right. Second, Hornets. I love what I saw. I know we lost, but look, LaMelo Ball looks good. I just need you to attack more. Don't be afraid to shoot. Don't go make the tooling on me. Go ahead, put the ball up. Attack the rim. Keep pushing the offense. They look good. Lastly, Cam's not washed. Okay. Cam needs some weapons. Cam needs some help. I'll tell you what. I would love to see Cam on this Panther team right now. All these weapons we finally got. Cam's gone, but now we got weapons. Anyway, that's what's up, man. Chris G, the OG. Peace.
Good voicemail, bro. He came strong with that, man. Good, strong call there, man. Please feel free to join us anytime, man. Good call, man. All right, next one.
I love the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. On
the pass, right? No doubt, man. Here's the next one.
Yo, this is Jay. This is my first time calling in. All I'm gonna say is really, I want everybody to kind of see why I was kind of out of Teddy Bridgewater and ain't really ready to lead a team. He's showing it. You know, we should have signed him to a 1-year prove-it deal, like prove that he's supposed to be the man. Well, he got a 3-year deal. I don't know what's going on in the front office, man. Marty Huntley, when he first got his job back, he was like, yo, I learned from my mistakes, overpaying players and everything that got him fired in the first place. Right back to the same situation again, man. He's right back in the exact same situation, and people are constantly defending this dude, talking about, oh, it's a rebuild, we're not expected to win. We have no money. You can't be rebuilding with the cap maxed out. Look at the Hornets, man. They are paying players to play somewhere else just to start getting some money off the book so we can start actually rebuilding.
That's actually a good point.
It's like, yo, it's frustrating. I don't think anybody in the front office really know what they're doing. I don't think the coaches know what they're doing. I think they overwhelmed. I think Marty Hurney overwhelmed. I think David Tepper overwhelmed. I hope these guys over there under construction have a good week. I'm going to catch y'all on the show. See you guys later.
Hey, man. Hey, look, the voicemail callers are bringing it today, man. Just a reminder, 704-981-1747. That is all for this week. We're going to move on to the shout-outs, man. Who wants to go first, man? Who y'all shouting out or shouting at this week?
I want to shout out some foolishness I seen in the black community on Twitter. So, this is about the baby. So the baby, who is, as far as I'm concerned, the ambassador for Charlotte in music and pop culture. Now, props to him for that come up. But someone made a ridiculous ass post noting that whenever the baby sees a big woman, he jumps on them. And when I say that, I mean like physically, like, hey, jumps on them and gives them a big hug, like jumps on their back. And they posted a bunch of pictures of him engaging in this behavior. And then they said, but he never does that with the smaller women. How come I swear to God, how come he doesn't treat the big women like he does? He ain't jumping on those small women. And at that person, I say, shut the hell up.
Right, seriously. Yeah. Rodney, what you got, man? Can you top that?
Man, that's a hard one to top, man. Look, man. Look, I'm gonna give a shout out to Vashti for having me on her show yesterday.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. Yeah. For real. Real quick, let me cut you off. For those of y'all who don't know what Rodney's talking about, Rodney was on ESPN 730, Carolina the Blitz. You can go on ESPN 730's website to catch that interview with Rodney and Vashti. Rodney, go ahead, sir.
Vashti is a real one. That's all I got to say, man. It was a good convo, and some of y'all might not like what I had to say, but I said
you know what? I didn't, because y'all gonna stop throwing shade at Gardner Webb, man, Florida State, man. Like we gonna stop that, bro.
And then also, man, I want to give a shout out to Versus, man. They got a regional battle coming up next Friday, man. It's E40 versus Too Short, and I'm rolling with Short Dog.
I know who Jamal's picking in this battle, but I might pick E40. I love both those guys. I have almost their entire discographies. Man, I want to see that one.
Well, look, man. I'm not gonna say anything because I get in trouble for my music opinions. I'll just say this: both artists are prolific recorders. They have well over 20 albums. They have a lot of songs. And they have a lot of songs that people like. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not even gonna tell you who I'll pick, man. So anywho, man, my only shout out, man, is actually Rodney, man. Happy birthday to you, man. Happy belated happy birthday to you, man. I hope you celebrated. Hope you did well with that, man. But guys, this is a great show. Next week, hopefully we'll be in a better mood. I doubt we will, but maybe we'll have something positive to talk about. Maybe more LaMelo talk.
Oh, guys, I have a quick announcement. Look, like, share, subscribe, Under Construction.
No doubt.
Share this podcast. I'm going to do a raffle next week, and I'm going to be sending out a small gift pack, 2 gift packs. So the first person to get 5 likes on your reshare. No. Guess what? If you reshare, I'm putting your name in the hat. The first 2 people I pick, you get the gift pack. I'm gonna message you, send me your address, and I'll ship it off probably next Monday.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Before we go, I do want to shout out everybody in the chat room. I will say this again. I sound like a broken record, man, but every time y'all are in the chat room or y'all are interactive or you are asking questions, it makes our job a lot more fun and easier. And most importantly, man, thank y'all so much for the support, man. We are independent Black dudes trying to break in a sports market. It is not an easy thing to do without your support. So again, thank you for your support every week, man. Guys, that's gonna wrap it up, man. We'll holler at y'all next week. Have a good week. Love one another. Peace out, y'all.
Peace out.